Alright, hello everyone, it's Happy, and today we're going to be talking about the top 5 tanks for damage in World of Tanks Blitz. But before we start, a quick reminder guys, the gameplay in the background has nothing to do with the actual list, it's just for entertainment purposes because of the juicy moments it has. Furthermore, this is all my opinion, therefore no need to hate me for it. If you disagree, tell me how you disagree in the comment section below. So without further ado, let's just start this list. And at number 5, I would definitely put the Object 268. It has everything it needs in order to do damage. In terms of armor, it is very good. It holds its own against mediums as well as light tanks. Against heavies and TDs, it might be a bit weak. However, the sides and overall, it has a very ricochet hull, and therefore it holds some shots very well. Furthermore, the mobility is very good in terms of getting towards the initial position relatively quickly. Furthermore, running after mediums and lights at the end of the game is also not a big deal, and therefore I think the mobility is very good. It's not the best mobility in terms of TDs, however it's still very nice and it's very comfortable to play in. On top of that, it has an insane gun. Playing with 640 alpha is very easy. You do 5 shots, you already have 3k damage. If you can see where I'm going with this. Furthermore, the penetration and the accuracy allow you to do insane damage, and you can rack up so much damage. 8 shots and you already have, 4k plus in this thing. So if you have 6 shots, you already have 3,600, etc. Therefore, doing damage in this thing is very easy. The only disadvantage is probably the HP pool, but that's a given since it's a TD. Therefore, doing damage is very easy, and the camo rating on this thing is one of the best at tier 10. Therefore, it will allow you to play on the defensive, i.e. camp, or you can be like an assault gun and stick with your heavies, and that works as well. I never camp with the 268. You'll never see me camping, and I still do some decent damage in the tank. So that's why I wanted to put it at number 5, because of how versatile it is. The only disadvantage again is the fact that it doesn't have a turret and HP, but since it's a TD, that's a given, so you can't judge the tank too much for it. At number 4, I would definitely say it is the T-57 Heavy. Now, in my opinion, the T-57 Heavy is the weakest drum tank at tier 10. Why? Just because of the fact that it is very sluggish in comparison to the other tanks. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the T-57 is a weak tank. The gun is insane. It's one of the best guns on heavy tanks. However, the mobility lets it down a lot. When I mean a lot, I mean a lot. 35 kilometers per hour in comparison to the 50B is almost, nothing. It's nothing. It's hard to get towards that initial position. Furthermore, running after tanks at the end of the game is also a very big problem. The gun itself is very nice, 2.5 second interclip, and the accuracy is very good. Furthermore, with 3 shots, you do 1,200 in 5 seconds. So, in 3 drums, you can do 3,600 damage really easily. I think doing 3k on a T-57 Heavy should be no problem. Everyone can do it. It's very easy to rack up damage in this tank, and therefore it's in number 4. In terms of armor, it's meh, it's really weak in terms of armor and mobility, but it still has that insane gun, so it's definitely on this list. Now, if we look into number 3, I'll definitely put the Chieftain MK6 there. Why? Because again, it has a combination of everything. Insanely high DPM, one of the best DPMs of heavy tanks at tier 10. Furthermore, decent mobility in order to get towards that initial position and run after enemy tanks at the end of the game. It's very crucial, guys, don't get me wrong, mobility is super crucial in this game. And the gun, the accuracy, the gun handling, everything is superb on the Chieftain. The only downside is probably the penetration with gold, but other than that, the gun is insane. It's superb. Now, in terms of armor, it's quite tricky. It doesn't have the best armor, but it does have decent armor at the front and at the turret. Furthermore, it has 10 degrees of gun depression. Therefore, if you wiggle and play more or less safe, you should be able to rack up a lot of damage. If you hit that adrenaline and you smash tanks in half using that DPM, doing damage should literally be no problem. Overall, this tank has a combination of everything in comparison to the T-57 Heavy. Furthermore, it also makes credits. So In my opinion, this is an ideal pickup, and it's one of the only tier 10 tanks in terms of premiums or collectibles that I would actually recommend and that actually lives up to its name. Everything else is more or less garbage, at least in my opinion. Now, moving on to number 2, and this was a hard choice, but I'll definitely give it to the FV4005. Now, this TD is a monster. The gun is insane. Sometimes it's a bit uncomfortable, but the gun is monstrous. In 3 drums, you already do over 4k damage. The mobility is insane, and with the new accuracy boost it gets, it's even more insane. You're hitting 3 shots with 100% accuracy, and if you high roll, that's 1500 plus in just 1 drum. In 3 drums, again, you do over 4k, and doing 4k in this tank is very, very nice and quite easy to do as well. The mobility and the gun allow this tank to be insane. Of course, the gameplay could be boring for some people. You can't be over aggressive. Again, the HP pool is very, very bad. It at least has a turret, and therefore poking around corners is quite nice. But other than that, the HP pool makes you play very, very careful. Of course, you don't camp back on the 3rd line. You have to be 2nd line behind your tanks. So basically, when your tanks take a shot, you peek out, give your shots for 1500, and peek back in. Simple as that. The gameplay is super easy, and overall the tank is insane for doing damage. I'm not even gonna lie. Juicy did a gameplay recently, and he did a 4k plus stream. Of course, it's very, very easy, especially if you're skilled. Furthermore, doing 3k plus on this tank should be no problem, and therefore it's on number 2 of my list, just because of how good this tank is. And at number 1, I think everyone knows what tank is on this list. It's definitely my boy, the one and only 50B. A combination of everything, decent armor, like the turret is super troll, let's be honest. How many times have you shot a 50B and you didn't pen the turret? Exactly. The front of the hull, legends go about the front of this hull. You sometimes even TDs can't penetrate the front of a 50B. And of course the sides and rear are very weak, but to poke and bait shots, it's perfect. The gun is perfect, one of the best guns for heavy tanks. The clip is insane, 1200 damage in 6 seconds. Plus the mobility allows you to fly around the map. Sometimes you tank shells. Furthermore, you have an HP pool of 2500. You can take a lot more shots than the FV4005. And again, in 3 clips, you have 3600. So I think this tank is the best for damage. The 50B, the one and only, you all know it. So with that, this video comes to an end. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Happy is out. Bye-bye.